To another episode of Level Up Video Games, where I essentially started my own retro video game store in my garage called Level Up Video Games, where I buy, sell, trade, and repair retro video games all day. I unfortunately have to call the customer back that had that Switch and tell them I can't fix it. Essentially what's going on is the Switch is trying to recall the boot up menu, or the main menu, from its memory bank, and unfortunately it looks like the memory bank is corrupt. I tried to make a backup of the memory bank to switch out the, what's it called? eMMC, which is the memory on that, to essentially switch out the bad one for a good one and hopefully get it to boot up. Unfortunately, I can't get the data or the backup information from the memory at all. I couldn't get it to work. So I'm gonna have to put it back together, let the customer know what's going on, what I would suggest to do, and give them an option as well to potentially buy one from me. And I do have one eBay sale, which is Tony Hawk's Project 8 for the PlayStation 2. We sold that on eBay. But we also have a purchase off of my website. It's one of these little guys up here, the Switch Lights. But I'll go over some information and tell you guys what I normally do in these circumstances. Here's also a very interesting situation I'm in. So you can, on your online, like through Shopify, get standard orders. Now, sometimes those standard orders will actually be fraudulent, potential fraudulent. So this order was for that gray Nintendo Switch that's up there. The card information was essentially charged from Anaheim. That's where the billing information is. But they wanted me to ship it to Illinois. That's a little weird. Looking at the contact information, tried to call them, contact them, and then they added an extra contact inside of notes or somewhere else. So I called that number. Couldn't get a hold of both numbers. Well, eventually, the second number ended up calling me back. Now, the person's name is Cynthia. The person who called me did not sound like a Cynthia. They definitely did not sound like a Cynthia. Also, the second number was a Google account, which is fine, but very rare that most people have Google accounts for phone contacts. So that was essentially red flag, like 2 or 3 for me, so I canceled the order. But I ended up trying to contact the original billing address phone number on it, and hopefully they give me a call back and I can tell them it looks like someone has essentially stolen their credit card or credit card information and trying to make purchases online. So hopefully they give me a call back. If not, they figured it out sooner than later. I went ahead and just canceled the order. I'm not dealing with it. It's easier for me to do that than it is to try to figure out what is going on. Own your own Shopify or internet business, and someone potentially might be buying from you, especially a higher end item. Try to give them a call, contact, or email, and just verify the information that is correct on the billing and shipping address, because you don't want to be lost. Let's say you shipped out a Nintendo Switch as well. You don't want to be at a loss of $200 plus some. We're going to go ahead and repair this Nintendo SP really quick. Get that done, and then I kind of want to work on that orange GameCube. We got the right trigger and left trigger or bumpers working, the speaker working. It was just replacing parts and adding parts back in. Super easy, not hard at all. We do have an extra volume control now for an SP though. So next, I can replace the screen in this.
No! God, please, no!
Or mod this.
Yes! Yes!
This is going to be interesting. So the way I was going to do this was pretty simple. I was going to use the mod chip to mod it so it played Japanese and English games, and then I was going to use this SD to SP2 adapter to essentially load games off of the SD card. Then I opened up the back and realized, uh-oh, they're different. They're different. This does not have the adapter. It has everything else but that adapter in the Japanese console. Great. What does that mean? I may not be able to use this console in particular for this modification. I don't even know if I'll be able to use this case for this particular modification. I don't know if I can or not. I can always take a look and take it apart. I don't really know what I want to do. I didn't anticipate taking my GameCube. I was going to literally just put it back in the box and keep it as a complete copy or complete in-box GameCube. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do. Don't know if I can solder it to anything. I'm not sure. I don't know enough information to research, but I think the first thing I'm going to do is actually just get this mod chip kind of working. First things first, we need to get this GameCube apart. Let me show you what it's doing before I even get into it. So this, I know, is a Japanese GameCube, but it won't really kind of read the disc. It really doesn't work appropriately. Like, even if it is. Now, we can verify this fairly easy. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to bridge a capacitor that's in here, and it's going to change from Japanese to English, and then we can verify that the laser is actually working first. All right, so right now, as you guys can see, we're actually looking at the board, and right here, you see R6. We are essentially, we're just going to bridge R6 right here. And R6 tells the board to switch from Japanese to English. I believe on the English GameCubes, I'll have to verify, but there's a capacitor right here. It might not be a capacitor, this whatever this resistor is, right there on it. So what we're going to do is pretty easy. Right now, just to verify that this works, come in here, put some flux on here. I'm literally just going to bridge it with a wire, just really quick. And then I'll put it back together somewhat so you guys can see it turn to Japanese to English. Now this wire is fairly large. I really don't need a large wire this big, but I'll do it anyways. Essentially bridge this little section right here. There we go, let's clean it off some isopropyl alcohol really quick. And then I'm going to put it back together so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Let's see if I did this right. All I did was just bridge that little section. And look at that. It's no longer in Japanese. That's a good thing. So let's see if we can get this disc to read. I can tell you right now that the laser is not working properly. So I'm going to clean that off, see if I can get it to work. It's still not working, so we're going to have to take it off and adjust it. So right here we're on this potentiometer right here that adjusts power to the laser. And I'm going to grab my voltage, my voltmeter. You guys have probably seen me do this multiple times, different ways, but essentially I'll grab my voltage meter. We're going to test the resistance on this guy. Oh, poke here, poke here. This thing is 0.28. We're going to dial it back a little bit, just a little bit, and see what we can get. 196. Let's try that. Actually, just put it back on. I don't have the bottom on. It's just sitting there. This is just for test purposes only. Still nothing. All right, so this is what I do. I'll take it off, come in here. I'm gonna adjust it up this time, probably closer to like maybe 0.3. Put it back on. Nothing. Now this is one way you could do it instead of using your multimeter. It's literally just adjust it every single time. You can see it's still just not doing its job. This is acting similar to a potential bad capacitor on here. I may have to replace the caps on the laser drive. All right, so I just kept on adjusting it, and now it's starting to spin it. but we're not quite there yet. I'm just going to take it off. I'm going to go down, reduce the power, see if that helps it. Oh, I heard the good noise, the happy noise on the GameCube. All right, let's put a controller in. Actually, we don't need to put a controller in. We'll just restart it. And if this is working properly, it should boot into the game. There's the game. Now, I have had it where it fails right after this MGM on this game. But there she goes. So this is essentially now a English working system. Leave it as is and don't worry about it. This will play English games perfectly fine. But the purpose of this whole thing was to actually modify it to the point where it would play off of an SD card. So we'll see what I can do. I'm going to do some more research to find out if I can add this SD to SP2 card to the Japanese variant, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. I can add the chip. That's going to be easy. It's just standard solder joints and portions, but at this point I really don't have to. So we're going to do some more research and see if I can get this working properly. Here's the difference. This little guy right here. So this is an NTSC GameCube, and as you can see, this P8 right here, this little adapter is actually missing. So they essentially took it out of the Japanese consoles. And there's also some really tiny capacitors and stuff in here that are missing, like right here, C200. This one is right there, a little capacitor. I couldn't see any other differences, but there might be. So they essentially took that out, had a capacitor in there. Still stuck in a conundrum with this GameCube. So the Japanese GameCube was perfectly fine now that I switched it over to English. Now, the only difference is that tiny little port. I need that port for the mod. To sell the GameCube, people don't need that port. Most people don't even know what that port does. I don't even know what that port does, to be honest. Off the top of my head, I really don't know what it does, besides use it for the modification, or the SD mod. So what I'm going to do is see if I can shell swap the motherboard over with that little piece in it and be able to at least use a modification on the orange one. That means the Japanese motherboard will be going into the purple GameCube, but it really doesn't matter. It's just missing that port. It is working perfectly fine, reading perfectly fine. So that's what I'm going to do for this modification, then we'll go from there. So it's going to take me a little bit to get that going and double check to make sure I can actually fit it into the orange case. Hopefully I can, and then we'll go from there. First thing we had to do is move this metal plate over from the NTSC because it has the little slot right here for that adapter. And this one, as you can tell, does not. So there's the first thing to moving over the motherboard, which I would assume should fit into it. It looks exactly the same. Ports are the same, everything except for that. So now we have the English motherboard inside the Japanese console. You can tell right there by that port. Now we're going to put the Japanese CD reader in here, put the power on. We're just going to verify that this thing is still working properly, which I would assume would. So power on. Helps if I plug it in. 007. Press the start button. There it goes. Now we're essentially going to put that purple GameCube back together really quick, and then we're going to mod this orange GameCube right here. So hopefully that won't take too long. Let's get to it. here we go. There it goes. Also, if you guys noticed, it's still in English, so this will work perfectly fine for what it needs to be. So, no one's gonna know.
Nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know. How would they know? How would they know? How would they know? I can't. I can't.
Except you guys. You guys will know. So this GameCube is a little bit of a special GameCube at this point. So this little purple GameCube is going to go to someone, and no one really is going to know unless someone orders it or contacts me directly and says, I want that GameCube. Or they're going to complain about the port at the bottom not being there, which I doubt it. So I'm going to put this all the way back together. It's going to go back on the shelf, and then we're going to start on that orange GameCube. So we got that purple GameCube, aka secret Japanese GameCube, all done. We're going to get to the modification on this one right here, right now. Because I've never actually done this modification, I really don't know where this chip goes, so I'm going to have to look it up. I think I got it in there all the way. It's going to be tough because I'm not sure if this solder point's touching or this one as well. I know these should be good, so we'll try to give it a try. I'm just going to verify that it's still reading this. Which looks like it's still working. It should be LEDs. Inside here, you can clearly see when I turn it on as well. There's the red LED right in there, so that verifies that it's at least powered on. Right now, this should be working properly. I don't have the SD to SP in right now, but what I do have is the Swiss disc to load up. So if I did the modification right, this disc should be able to be read and load into our brew menu. Yeah, Swiss version 0.5. So there it goes. What does this mean right now? I have no clue. But I would assume that the chip is now working properly, the system is working properly, and now I need to get that little SD card reader in and see if I can load up a game. Alright, so we essentially got a copy of 007 Agent Under Fire on the SD card. We had to do some modifications to the SD card because it was really loose. Apparently there's some pins. I'll turn this off actually. And you can tell that's not a copy of, that's just Swiss disc to boot up the homebrew off the GameCube. But what I was having for the longest time is issues because the stupid dumbass SD card that I was using just is garbage. This one's also garbage, so I had to use one of mine off of that I was using for business purposes to test it out. And so this one is now working and loading ISOs, or essentially backups of my games. So at this point, Agent Under Fire, we can do two things. We'll go ahead and turn it back on. It should boot up into the 2P2. There it goes. Yeah, the SD card. And there's our file right there. And it looks like it's loading perfectly fine. Let me show you what I had to do to the actual adapter first to kind of make it fit a little bit better. First off, I had to get a decent SD card. Like I said, 32 gigabyte, it should be all right. But as you noticed, I had to put some solder on these pads because beforehand, it was literally just like barely going in and just wiggling all over the place. Now, this thing's not going anywhere. One thing I also noticed that we're about to test right now, I can't shut it. It won't shut. It won't fit because of this right here. So we're going to go ahead and modify this corner. There is no traces on here. This corner actually does absolutely nothing. This whole side does nothing. It's just an extra piece of thing. But we're going to see if we can at least cut a little piece right there off so it'd fit in there perfectly fine. There we go. We kind of defaced the loader. We just cut that corner. So when we put it in here now, fits in just like so, and boom, fits perfectly fine. All right, let's see if I screwed it up. All right, here I go. Oh, looks like it's booting it. Looks like it still recognizes the SD card. There it goes. So this guy is going to be put back together, and we are officially done modding our Nintendo GameCube. A good hour because of that fucking SD card, to be honest with you. Trying to figure out why the hell it just wouldn't load. Like, every time I would try to load it, it would disappear, or it wouldn't even load into the SD card. Let me show you what it was doing. Alright. It was literally doing this. It wasn't even going into the SD card. So, and then I would try to click on it and disappear. So the SD card was not being recognized or reading properly. It's so annoying. All right. I'm trying one more SD card that I have over here instead of this one that's junked. I really want to keep this 32 gigabyte SD card for myself. But this one, this Gigastone 512 gigabyte, trash. Let's try this other one. Looks like that SD card's working perfectly fine, so we're going to leave that SD card pretty much in there. But I want to try to find one more program in here to be able to grab the discs, make copies of them, and put them onto this SD card. All right, there we go. Here's our copy of Pokemon XD. Alright, this is going to take a while, so I'll get back to you as soon as this is done. Alright, so we sold two other things on eBay. We sold SSX Tricky for the Xbox, complete, and God of War for the PS2. SSX Tricky was 12 plus shipping, and God of War was 15 plus shipping. So I'm going to package those up. But before I do, let's open a package that I just got. Alright. Okay, cool. This is, of course it is, an N64 bundle I bought off of Facebook Marketplace. This has a black third-party GameCube or N64 controller and a gray third-party N64 controller, third-party power supply, I'm guessing third-party AV cables. Let's check the system. Standard system doesn't look too bad. Let's see if we can get lucky. Think expansion pack or jumper pack? Ah, it's the standard jumper pack. Definitely has some broken plasticky pieces. I'll have to take that out and fix that. We're at 65% done, about another 15 minutes or so. So I'm taking apart that 64 that we just grabbed. This thing is interesting, to say the least. Essentially, they only had 2 screws that held this thing together, and they put standard screws in the spots and put like super glue because all of the posts are completely broken. There's the plastic piece that was rattling. So like this thing is held on by 1 screw. That's great. That's awesome. Look at this. Like this screw right here, I believe is the only screw that's actually holding it on. Everything else is just like hot glued together and not even hot glued well. Luckily, that doesn't really affect the system. Let's test out the system. Well, the system power's on, so that's a good thing. Let's put jumper pack in there. And let me grab a game. We got a game, let's see if it works. There we go. So the N64 is working. It's not in the best condition, that's for sure. It's not in the best condition looking at from the inside out. If you look from the outside in, it's not too bad. The outside, the shell's okay. It's just like when you over tighten screws, they just bust off. The plastic's brittle. This was a Japanese console. And how do I know that? Remember how I told you guys in yesterday's video that those two plastic pieces that I like to essentially melt? So essentially this person bought most likely a cheap N64, modded it so it plays regular N64 or NTSC games, and then maybe screwed up trying to take the lids off because they didn't have the right screwdriver. Don't know, but that would make sense as well, because I looked at the bottom of the N64 to see what kind of serial number this is or anything like that, and just realized that the serial is gone. And so is the sticker, because people are afraid that if you see Japanese at the bottom, they would not buy it. Well, luckily enough, I needed more N64s. This one's all right. It's not in the best condition, but it'll do. Looking at this a little bit more, look at, there's like this whole plastic piece back here is broken. This whole portion right here is gone. It's a rough N64. It doesn't look as good and condition-wise as those other ones, so this one's probably going to go on the bottom of that pile. Our backup is officially done. We're going to exit out of here. Turn off the GameCube. Put that disc away later. Now I should just be able to have the Swiss disc in it. Automatically boot into it. Yep. And there is my there you go. That's gonna be it for the spiced orange GameCube modification. Hopefully you guys learned a couple of stuff from that modification. It's the first time I've actually done that mod and messed with the SD card adapter for the GameCube. This one is pretty awesome. I've been wanting to do this for a while now, so finally being able to get to modify this and pretty much make this my personal owned GameCube at this point. We're officially done for today. I just finished that customer's switch that I was unable to fix, unfortunately. They said go for it, switch over the switch, make a good one, make it working properly. I paid for that one that I just got yesterday in the mail about 170 bucks. I told them if they just paid me pretty much what I paid for the switch, I will go ahead and just give it to them. So they're gonna pay me 175 bucks for the switch. They already paid me 10 to look at theirs. So I'll make a little bit of money, not too much, but I'm okay with it because I don't have any other parts or pieces for another switch. Finished that for him, got through that other N64, even though it was kind of jacked up. No processing games because I really wanted to work on that GameCube. Got that done, that's awesome. Oh, we got quite a lot of stuff done again, man. It's just getting easier and easier every single day, guys. Sometimes I thought it was gonna be a struggle. Definitely isn't. It's getting better and better and easier. Although we definitely got to get through those Xbox games. Want to get those done and just chill for a Saturday, see what happens, see what comes through. Hopefully some people come buy some stuff. If not, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to level up. We're out here with Wyatt because Wyatt wanted to open the package. We got your DHL package.
Open it.
Yeah, from Japan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Open it.
All right, let's open it.
Well, mine?
No, this is not yours.
Mine.
Yeah, it's not yours.
Yeah, it's mine.
No. All right.
Yeah. You can open it.
I am gonna open it. All right, you open it.
Bubble?
Bubble.
Mine.
Okay, you can have the bubble.
Yay.
Yay! Oh, what's that?
Mine.
No, this isn't yours. This is mine. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's mine too. And that. And everything in this box. What do you know?
Yours?
There we go.
Mine.
That's yours. You have the bubble wrap. That is yours. You can have that. All right, go play. What do we have? All right, we have an exclusive Japanese N64. This makes 5 Japanese N64s at this point inside this store. But this came with the system, a controller, a matching controller. This stick needs to be replaced. AV power cord as always. And it came with a Japanese Mario Tennis. So we're essentially going to have to modify that, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. See if you can see it. Essentially on the back of this cart, you notice these big old holes here? Well, see, those are only Japanese exclusive holes. We don't have those holes in the United States for the NTSC N64s. Here's a comparison. This is NFL quarterback Club 98. Notice that these holes are here, and on the Japanese, they're here. That's what I was talking to you guys about last time. I don't know if you can see it, but you see those little clips right there, that big old clip? There's one on the other side as well. Essentially, that stops the games from fitting. The Japanese games will fit perfectly fine. So essentially, we are going to modify this one as well to play Japanese and standard United States NTSC N64 games. But that will have to wait for later.